So, for the Chapter 8 review, the first section, you are just saying concave or convex. Number 1. Convex. Which other one is convex? 4. And then the rest are concave. Remember, to be concave, if you extend one of the side lengths, that new segment goes into the figure. That's how you know it's concave. So this one's concave. Over here we're going in, so that one's concave. And right here we're going in, so that one's concave. So we are trying to decide equilateral, equiangular, or regular. Remember, to be regular, it's both equilateral and equiangular, so all the side lengths are the same, all the angles are the same. Number 7, we don't know anything about the angles, but we know that all the sides are the same, so that one's lateral, good. And then number 3 is equiangular.
I gotta search for my note card, so I'm gonna wait till after.
Hey, Miss London, I got a question. You got an extra notebook?
Hold on. Alright, number 9 is asking you, what formula do you use to find the sum of the measures of the interior angles of a polygon? This should be straight from your note card. What's the formula?
Which formula to what?
Find
N
the
minus 5?
Yes, n minus
5.
no.
Yes.
It's n minus 2.
N minus 2. If you have n minus 5, you need to go ahead and fix that. N minus 5 times 180, where n is the number of sides. So on number 10, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. So n equals 5. So you do 5 minus 2 times 180. Anyone have an answer for me?
Just.
I had got 540.
540 indeed. If you don't have 540, please fix it. Please write the formula down on your reviews. Then write the formula down on your note card so you're not making these same mistakes again tomorrow.
I think I'm going to pass.
Alright, next one. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. So n equals 6 now. So 6 minus 2 times 180. Anyone have that one for me?
I got 720.
720 is correct. And last one on this section. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sides. So when n equals 8, we do 8 minus 2 times 180. Anyone have that one for me?
I got 1,008.
Very good.
Oh.
So again, n minus 2 times 180. If you don't know that formula, you are not going to come up with these answers. It is a hopeless section unless you know this. So make sure you're either memorizing all these formulas tonight or writing them down in the note card. And here's the key: bringing the note card tomorrow. Questions? On number 13, 14, and 15, we are finding the measure of angle A. These are rather tricky because you have to use what we did on the previous section, n minus 2 times 180. As your starting point. That's the total degree measure of all the interior angles. You subtract all the ones you know, that will leave you with the one you do not know. So there's 2 parts to each of these problems. So in the first one, in this section, number 13, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. If it has 5 sides, the total degree measure is 540. So I'm going to start with 540. I'm going to take away the angles that I know. That will leave me with the one angle that I don't know. It might be useful to put one of these examples on your note card since there's not really a formula beyond the n minus 2 times 180. Or make a little note like when finding the missing angle, subtract from the sum, something like that. I am coming up with angle A to be 120 degrees on number 13. Any questions? Alright, same thing on the next one. So we're going to count up the number of sides. 1, 2, 3, 4. So n equals 4. 4 minus 2 times 180. That's 360. From 360, you're going to subtract the angles you know. That will leave you with the one you're looking for. So 360 minus 74 minus 74 minus 68 equals 144. And number 15, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. So 6 minus 2 times 180.
Oh, you talking about for number 4? Oh, I got 7 plus.
Yeah, so they should add to 720. Subtract the ones that you know. I ran out of room, but I'm also subtracting 146. So you can do it all in the calculator. Just minus, 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 minus. Anyone have the answer?
I had got 65.
I got 65 as well. Raise your hand if you have any questions, 13, 14, 15. Remember on these, it's like 2 problems in one. You first have to find the total sum of all the angles. Subtract the ones you know, that'll leave you with the one you're looking for.
3 equals base times height.
Yes, so this one we can do base times height. There's also another version for a rectangle. You could call it length times width. Either one is acceptable.
Yeah, that popped up yesterday, and I was like, that's not what we used.
Yeah, either one of these is fine. In a rectangle, there's only 2 numbers usually given. Those are the 2. Some people call it base and height. Some people call it length and width. If we're looking at a square, though, what do we do?
It's going to equal A equals S squared.
S squared, where S is the side length. Good. So number 18, you can tell it's a square because all the sides are congruent. So you're going to do 13 squared, or 13 times 13, which is 169. 19 is a rectangle, so 4 times 9 or 9 times 4, either way you're going to get 36 square meters.
Wait, you got, oh, never mind, I got that right, never mind.
Alright, and then number 20 is kind of tricky because you have 2 rectangles and a square and we want to find the total area. So the easiest way to do this is just to find the area of each of the smaller ones. So that square, the sides are 4 and 4. 4 times 4 is 16. Then we have that tall rectangle that's also going to be 16, right? Because it's 2 and 8. And then we have that bottom rectangle, that's going to be 20 because it's 2 and 10. So I need to add 16 and 16 and 20. 52 square centimeters. Awesome. Any questions? Squares and rectangles? Alright, when we're looking at triangles, we use a different area formula. Does anyone know it?
Area equals 1/2 times base height.
1/2 the base times the height. Good. So on number 22, we have 1/2. The base is 15. The height is 10. So in your calculator, you can do 15 times 10. And then divide that by 2, or you can use 0.5 times 15 times 10, or you can do 1, then the ABC button, and then the 2 times 15 times 10. It doesn't really matter, however you prefer to do it.
150.
It's 75. If you got 150, you forgot to divide by 2 at the end. Or you forgot to type 1/2 at the beginning. You can do it either way. Don't do it twice. Some people are getting carried away. They multiply by 1/2 and they divide by 2. It's either or.
Why too?
Alright, and then number Y, just the formula. Multiplying by 1/2 is the same thing as dividing by 2. So if you don't like the ABC button, it kind of takes a while, then you can just do 15 times 10 and then divide it by 2. If you don't want to type in 1/2. Or you can type in 0.5 and then times 15 times 10. I would definitely, though, especially if you're struggling with how to type these in, practice. It seems like every time we take a test, someone comes up to my desk and they're like, can you show me how to type this in? And I say, no, I showed you how to type it in for the last 3 weeks. All right, so make sure you know how to type it in. Anyone have the answer for this next one?
I got 49.5.
49.5 is correct. Any questions? Do you guys see how important these formulas are?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't stress enough. If you don't know the formulas, you're probably just going to stare at your test for an hour and get a 0. I mean, there's really no way to do these without knowing these formulas. What formula do we use for the area of a parallelogram?
Is it area,
Wait, it's
base, height?
Yep, base times height again. Same as a rectangle. So on number 25, we're going to do 4 times 6. We get 24.
Yep.
Number 26, we do 12 times 6, and we get 72.
Do we have to label it?
There is no label on that one. When there's no label, I mean there's no label. There's not really anything you can do. Questions? Anyone have the formula for the area of a rhombus?
Yeah.
I have forgotten.
Area equals 1/2 times height. You got parentheses, base.
Hold on. That's a trapezoid.
Ah,
I had got like APQs divided by 2. That's what popped up on the internet because I forgot that.
So the area for a rhombus was missing from everyone's note cards. There it is. The trick here is to make sure that you have the entire length of each diagonal. So do you see here, we need the entire length of that diagonal.
I got 10.
Yeah, make sure you do 10, because 1/2 is 5, the other half is 5, the whole diagonal is 10. 10 is the number we need. Alright, same thing going this way. We have 12 and 12, so what's the whole diagonal? 24.
Then I got to put the 24 squared.
What did you get?
I got 120 feet squared.
Yes.
Because it's nothing but adding and then dividing.
Mm-hmm.
you sure?
Alright, same thing on the next one, but look, now they gave us the whole diagonal. So do I need to add anything?
No.
No, you're just going to do 1/2 times the 12 times the 18.
108.
108.
And then do you have to put the square?
There's no labels, so don't put anything. You only put the square when you have the units that you're talking about, like feet squared. We say it out loud as square feet. But no, don't put a squared on the end because then it looks like you want them to do 108 times 108, which would not be correct. All right, any questions?
Equals 1/2 times height.
Yeah, this is the long one. Area equals 1/2 times height, and then what?
Base 1 plus base 2.
Yeah, make sure you have this part in parentheses too. You have to add the bases first, then multiply by 1/2 and the height, however you like to type it in.
You did the parentheses first, right?
Yes, you follow the order of operations. So we'll have 1/2 times 6, and then in parentheses 10 plus 4. Now if you're using the calculators that I recommend, the TI-30, you could type that in all at once, especially if you know how to use the ABC button. 1, ABC 2, that's 1/2, times 6. Open up the parentheses, 10 plus 4, close the parentheses. It will do the order of operations for you. Does anyone know the answer?
I had got 42 squared.
42. There is no units, so you don't need to write the anything squared part after it. Very good. Same thing on the next one. We have area equals 1/2. The height here is 4. And then our bases are 6 and 7.
I got a question.
So you can, hold on one second, you can do the order of operations in your head, do the addition, multiply by the 4, multiply by the half, or again, you can just type it all in, go straight down the line in the calculator, make it do the order of operations for you. Either way, you should be getting 26. They do give us a label here, so we'll add it on the end, and since we're talking about area, we're going to make it square feet instead of just feet. So it says, what formula do you use to find the circumference? There's actually 2 formulas for circumference. Either one will get you credit on this. Does anyone have one of them?
Is it C equals pi times D?
Pi times D will work. Or there's another one.
R.
It has an R in it. It has a pi in it.
Pi r 2 squared.
That's for area. Pi r squared goes here.
What is the r supposed to be?
The R is the radius. Back up here, circumference. Remember, the diameter is the same thing as 2 radiuses put together. So if you want to use radius, you just have to multiply by 2. So 2 pi r if you're given the radius, or or pi times the diameter if you're given the diameter. And then area only works with radius. You have to have the radius when you're finding area. Alright, so jump down here. I basically just gave you 2 circles, but 2 problems each, so it's like 4 total problems. Are we given the radius or the diameter in the first one? Yeah, 2 is the radius, so I am going to use 2 pi times the radius, but the radius here is 2. So 2, use the pi button.
Oh yeah, I've done it.
Anyone have it?
I got 12.6. I don't even know if I did that right.
I got 6.3.
I'm coming up with 12.57. Remember in class, during the notes, we rounded to 2 places after the decimal. I'm going to stick with that. So if you put 12.6, though, I'd give you credit. I mean, since the directions don't specify how to round, if you round it slightly differently, that's fine. I'll try to remind you guys tomorrow how I want you to round, but if I forget, 1 number or 2 numbers after the decimal will work. Alright, how do you find the area on that one? Pi times what? Squared. Yeah, pi times the radius squared. Pi r squared. This is kind of interesting though. Does anyone know what 2 squared is? 4. Does anyone know what 2 times 2 is up here? 4. So actually the circumference and the area should be the same on this one. If you're not getting that, you might have accidentally squared pi instead of squaring the radius. Yeah.
That's what she did.
So double check that.
You got it.
Any questions? Alright, now the next one, is this the diameter or the radius? That's the diameter. When it goes all the way across, that's the diameter. So if you want to use the circumference formula with the D instead, you can. Or you can find the radius and use this one. It doesn't really matter. I'll just use the one with the D. So we're going to do pi times diameter. So pi times 10. It'll be 31.415926. So yeah, it'll be pi just with the decimal moved 1 place to the right. I'm going to round though to 2 decimal points just to be consistent with what we did in the notes. Now, is it possible to use the area formula with the diameter?
Yeah.
Where's the D? There isn't one. So we have to find the radius first. If the whole thing is 10, what's the radius? Yeah, you just divide it by 2. So it's 5. It's real easy to find. You just can't plug 10 into the formula. You have to divide it by 2 and then plug that number in. So we are going to do pi times the radius squared. The radius is 5. And remember, I got the 5 by dividing the diameter by 2. Use the pi button. Yeah, but use the pi button so we're all using the same thing. If you typed in 3.14, you'd honestly, you'd be so close I'd give you credit, but it's nice to all be on the same page. So I'm getting 78.539, so I'm going to round the 3 up to a 4. And there we go. What are your questions?
Do you round that first circumference on the diameter?
Yeah, I rounded that one.
I mean,
It was 1.5, so I made the 5 go. The 5 made the 1 go up.
Square?
The units?
Yeah.
No. Circumference is kind of like perimeter. It's the distance around something. So no, the units aren't squared. We only square the units when we're talking about area. All right, I believe that's the end of the regular test, right? The rest are just bonuses?
Yeah.
All right, let's jump to those bonuses. All right, so we were just talking about how we never used the sum of the exterior angles yet. This is where you would use something like that. So all of these should add to what? 360. So I am just going to write an equation adding all those values to 360. 2x and 3x is 5x. 108 plus 107 is 215. We're going to undo adding 215 first by subtracting 215 from both sides. That gives me 5x equals 145. And then you can divide both sides by 5x. And you get that x equals 29. Alright, bonus B, I'm sorry, I'm kind of out of space, but it is saying if the area of a square is 121, what's the length of each side? Does anyone know just by looking at it?
11?
Yeah, it's going to be 11. The equation that you would set up is x squared equals 121. It's actually what we're doing in my algebra class today, so kind of nice. Take the square root of both sides and you get 11 feet.
Easy.
Any questions? Alright, C, we're looking at a triangle, so we're using the formula for area of a triangle. Plug in the parts you know. So I know that the area is 39. The 1/2 part stays the same. I don't know the base. They're calling it x, so I'll call it x. But I know that the height is 6. Now this is a little bit tricky, but you can just do the multiplication here. You can do 1/2 times 6. That gives you 3. So 39 equals 3x. And then when you divide both sides by 3, what do you get x to equal? 13? Anyone? Anyone still with me on the bonuses?
Yeah.
Alright, awesome. D, we're looking at parallelogram. So again, you got to find that formula for area of a parallelogram first. That's where you start. Plug in the parts you know. We know the area is 144. We know that the base is 16. We do not know the height. That's what we're trying to find.
Is that R or 1?
Is that R or 1? Oh, that's a 1. It's kind of crooked. There you go. So 144 divided by 16 is 9. So here the height has to be 9. We're talking about inches, so 9 inches.
Don't you square it?
No, because you're just asking for the height. The height is just a length, yeah. If you put 9 inches squared, or 9 square inches, I'd give you the credit. I'm not going to get too hung up on this. The 9 is the important part. Alright, this one is a trapezoid, so we need the area formula for a trapezoid. Plug in what you know, find what you don't know. So we know that the area is 8. We don't know the height. We know one of the bases is 5, and one of the bases is 3. So 8 equals 1/2 times h. We're still sort of going with the order of operations. You can add the numbers in parentheses. You get 8. And then you can do the 1/2 times the 8. What is 1/2 times 8? 4?
Wouldn't it be 4? Yeah.
So 4h, and then you divide 8 by 4, and you're getting that the height is 2. We had a lot of problems like this bonus mixed in our homework. They were kind of the hardest problems in each section. So if you guys want more review on these, the homework is a really good place to check. Or they were usually the last problem in the notes for that day, so also a nice place to check. Alright, last bonus. Find the radius of a circle with an area of 30. Square units, round your answer to the nearest whole number. So we're going to the nearest whole number. So area of a square is pi r squared. So if the area is 30, and I'm looking for the radius. So first you have to divide both sides by pi. This is kind of tricky. 30 divided by pi.
What's that divided by?
Pi. Oh, that little thing's in the way. Hold on.
Okay.
What if I put it over there? Does that help? That's like 2 separate lines. So I set up area equals pi r squared. The area is 30. Pi is pi. We're looking for the radius, so I left it r. I want to get r squared by itself, then I want to take the square root. It's going to be how I'm going to tackle this. So 30 divided by pi is like 9.5. 4929. It goes on in the calculator. Equals r squared. Do you guys remember how to undo squaring something? We did it earlier. Bonus B, I think, is where we did it. To undo squaring something, you take the square root. So I'm not even going to clear my calculator. I have a big long decimal from when I did 30 divided by pi. I'm just going to hit second and the x squared button. And then second again and the negative sign that brings up the answer that you previously had in the calculator. I'm going to hit equals. I get 3.0901 and so on and so on. It said to round to the nearest whole number, so the radius here would have to be 3. And it just says square units, so you could say 3 units or just 3 is fine. Alright, that is the Chapter 8 test. It is a very long test, lots of formulas. I cannot possibly stress enough how important the note card is. Please don't forget it. I'm not giving extensions on the test because you forgot the note card. You either have it and you use it, or you don't have it and you go from memory. Questions?